All right. Well, how has everybody's back to school been going? We are in our second week. I know some of the people around us are in their third week of school. We've been doing all right. The kids had some regularly expected emotions last week, but it's all fine and dandy. We're going to make it through. Something we do for our oldest, she's in first grade, and she stays for lunch, and the whole entire day. And our next little one is in 4K, and so she's not there the whole day. So, she gets to come home. So it's a little bit different. But I think our oldest this year is having a little bit harder of a time with it because now her sister is coming to school with her, but then leaving and getting to come home when she's not able to. And last year with our oldest, we did a little bit of a hybrid kind of schooling situation. So this is like a first for her to like be gone for the whole day all year. So anyway, for lunch, we always write her a note in her lunchbox, and I think it really helps. She gets a little joke. I like print out jokes, like little kid jokes, and then I write a note on the back, right? And it doesn't take me very long, but I feel like it helps her a lot to get through the rest of the day. I read the joke in the morning so that she knows what it says and like kind of understands the joke. And then she always tells me not to read the back side where I write the note because she wants to read that part at lunch. And she is a reader, so she can read whatever I write on there. Obviously, I'm not writing like super complicated words like, you're so brave, we miss you, things like that. And so she likes to read that herself at lunch. And I think it helps her get through the rest of her day and get a little from home note is just kind of like a little piece of home coming to your school, right? Yeah, but we have the two girls are going to school every day. And then we have a son, and he's going on Tuesdays and Thursdays for like a couple hours, like 2 hours in the morning of those days for a little 3K program. But the two girls every day they go to school, they fill it, like they have a little morning checklist that we do. And I think it's just so funny, the difference in our personalities of our daughters. Like our oldest daughter is so hyper. She's kind of like always been a little bit more wild. But she, in the morning, never checks off her checklist in order. Like she just kind of does random stuff, and at the very end comes over and checks stuff off. And sometimes she checks stuff off she doesn't even do. And we have to kind of like give her a lot of reminders. But our 4K kiddo, she is very methodical and slow and like works through everything from start to finish. Like she just kind of works her way through everything, which is funny because I feel like a lot of people always say their second kids are kind of wild, and that is not our scenario at all. But yeah, she like is so funny. She'll like check the first thing off, and then she'll go do the second thing, come back and check the second thing off, and then she'll go do the third thing and come back and check the third thing off. And she's just works through it in like a very methodical kind of way. Yeah. Anyway, we bought for our kids, I bought these like little tins, snack size tins, for my intention was to have them for after school snacks. And they're fine. Actually, I really like the tins themselves. The tins are great. But I have some pros and cons about it. And it just is a lot of time on my end to pack this little tin full of like healthy, fun snacks that my kids are going to eat. And also for us, that's not really even the main problem. The main problem is any activities that we have at night this school year are actually later in the night. So they start like 5:45, 6. My daughter's gymnastics we just do like park and rec gymnastics. But on one night a week, her gymnastics starts at 7:30. Now, granted, she is like in a higher level than she really should be, like much higher than she should be. So that's great for her on that end. She like loves that. But this is our wild one. She's a monkey. So they were like, oh, wow, you're really doing great. Well, they pushed her up to this level, but I'm like, okay, but this is for big kids. And so it starts at 7:30. I'm like, that's her bedtime, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, so the problem with the snack containers is that we have to eat dinner earlier on at least 2 nights of the week, but it just seems silly to have like a totally different schedule and happenings all of the nights of the week, you know? So I don't know. I should just really get better at packing less in these little tins. They just are a little bit bigger. And so it's kind of leading me to want, but you know what? Actually, now I'm on here and I'm talking through it. And I'm thinking we have like little tinier tin containers that are kind of matching. And I feel like I could just pack a smaller snack on the 2 days that we're eating dinner a little bit later or dinner a little bit earlier so that it doesn't spoil their dinner. That was my kind of dilemma on it. Anyway, you know, when you try stuff every year, so I'm like, okay, we're going to try these snack tins every day. This is your after school snack. And it was a way for us to kind of have a healthier, curated snack from me instead of just like grabbing something out of the cabinet, so that I would just kind of have a little more preparation on their snacks so that they ate something healthy. But I think I still want to do it. I still want to use these for sure. But I'm just trying to like work through a way that it can work with our schedule a little bit better and not having such a big snack so that it spoils any actual dinner food eating. So anyway, you know, I'm talking through it because I feel like it's like a thing where you need to hear other people are working through things and that they don't just have these systems. Like, you know, when you set up a system, it's not perfect a lot of times. Sometimes you set it up and you're like, wow, that worked out great. I got lucky, right? But most of the time you have to kind of tweak some things here and there, right? So this is just one of those examples. Something random that I like put as a little bullet point that I wanted to talk about. I just read this story and I thought it was cool, and I'm going to link to it because it's kind of a fun thing. In Yosemite National Park. Honestly, I have no idea when this happened. It was probably like years ago and I'm just like super late to the game. I just was like an article that popped up and I read about it and I was like, oh, that's so cute. This is probably forever ago. I'm probably so late to the game because I don't go on social media usually. Okay. Anyway, in Yosemite National Park, there was this man and 2 mountain lions were trailing him while he was hiking in the backcountry. And they were like a half an hour behind him or so. And so the staff rangers were like a little concerned that he was in danger. He was solo, you know, camping and stuff. And so they were concerned he was in danger. And so they went to his campsite and they found the lions were just like sunbathing on a rock nearby, keeping an eye out for him. And so they looked at the lion cubs, or the mountain lions. They looked at their tags because they have tags on the lions in national parks. And the tags were noted as the same 2 lions that had lost their lion cub earlier that month. So they kind of like assumed that they were trailing this guy, thinking that he was like a young cub in need of some protection. So I just thought that was such a sweet little story. Anyway, it was just, my undergrad is a zoology major, you guys. I'm not like obsessed with animals, but I do like generally the animals and the environment. But anyway, I do like animals. I'm not like I would never have like 50 animals inside my house because I also like a clean house. So, you know, here we are. Okay. The other thing I was going to mention, I kind of mentioned it before, that we have some activities that are a little bit later, but we are actually slowing down our activities for the season. And I feel like I'm personally struggling with this because it was my choice. Like I wanted to slow everything down and have less to do, and it's great. I 100% think that my choice was the right decision. But for some reason, I'm having this like internal battle where I feel the need to like justify our decision to everybody. So I don't know if it's like I grew up doing a lot of activities and I loved it. I have no complaints about my childhood. I also feel like we did plenty of downtime stuff, but I do know that I was very busy doing a lot of sports and activities. And I was a club gymnast, so we practiced like 6 days a week for 4 hours a day. It was like a lot of stuff, right? And then I was in like clubs and all the things, you know, I was in all the things, right? And then when I quit gymnastics, I was like in 50 billion things, right? Anyway, I don't know if it's just because I'm used to like living in that state that I'm having a hard time with this, or like feeling the need to like justify it like in my own brain. I feel like I'm not really justifying it to other people necessarily. It's like I need to keep repeating the justification to myself. I don't know. But we usually do dance for the girls, and we're taking a break from their dance this year. We are just doing, because, they're at an age where they kind of wanted to try some new stuff, or I was kind of encouraging them to try new stuff, I guess. And so was my husband, like, oh, do you want to try T-ball or whatever? But I'm like, it gets so hard to try those things and also stay with doing all the other things that you are doing. And I kind of like non-negotiable want them to do swimming lessons. So we don't have swimming lessons in our area unless you want to pay an arm and a leg for them. But we don't have anything for under age 4 in our area. And so 4 is the first year that you can do swimming lessons through kind of like the main program in our area during the school year. And so I want both of the girls to be in that this year. And then I also, they want to do like our park and rec gymnastics, which runs in the fall and the spring. And so I'm like, okay, the winter is going to be kind of a lull, which is fine and great and dandy. Maybe we can do dance just during their little winter session, but we can skip it for like the whole rest of the year. And so that's what we ended up doing. So that is like 2 nights of our week with 2 nights, 2 hours, like 1.5 hours and like 1 hour each of those nights that was given back to us. And also just the fact of like rushing around after school every single night to get out and do these activities. Like, yeah, so it was a really good decision, but I don't know. I'm stating this like mental struggle that I'm having on here in case you are like trying to slow things down, but like your friends are still having their kids do 85 million things and you're feeling this like, I don't know what we're feeling. Like, is it guilt? Is it just like I'm doing something different, but I feel the need to explain to everybody why we're doing it? I don't know. It's not illogical that we're doing this, but it's like, it is kind of illogical that I feel like I have to tell you why we're doing it, All right. Anyway, this morning I wrote out I have 2 more thoughts, really. Actually, like 1 more thought and then a goodbye. This morning I wrote out, I thought it was going to be just like a little note and like a short little post. And then I kept writing and writing and writing. I'll probably end up shortening it back to like nothing, as I usually do with editing, but maybe I'll probably like maybe I'll use it in the newsletter this month. But I wanted to kind of just note it here because I think it's important and it's just on my brain. So it's what I was like, oh, what can I talk about in this Alright WELP episode that I'm just coming on to chit chat about? And this was obviously in my head because I just typed it up this morning and then I deleted it. I mean, I copied it and pasted it somewhere else, but I was going to just like post it. And then I was like, I'm not done with this thought yet. Anyway, so I have always had a little bit of beef with self-care, like not with actual self-care, but with the way that our culture likes to talk about self-care. So I just feel like our culture a lot of times talks about self-care in a very selfish way. And they kind of like poo-poo on anybody talking about self-care in a different sort of way, like almost like if your self-care isn't my definition of self-care, like this super kind of, I don't want to say it's super selfish because the things themselves aren't necessarily selfish, but like their thoughts about it are kind of selfish. So it's like you're not doing self-care in this super selfish way that I'm thinking of, then you're not really doing self-care. That's just daily work, right? Like that's just normal life stuff that you you're already entitled to kind of thing. And so I've always had this little beef about self-care, like not a little, I kind of have a lot of beef about it. And so I had a lot of thoughts about it this morning because I saw somebody talking about like getting a break, and it was almost like, first of all, there was like 2 different parts to this. It was them like almost, they put out their like motherhood stats. It was almost like they were talking about like getting a break because they did all these things, which I also, don't agree with. Like you can take a break and you don't have to do things in order to earn a break, right? But also, just like the way that it was being talked about was that they were, you know, like 1 o'clock culture, right? Like they're using their break, their self-care to escape from their reality, right? Like they're taking this break because they don't want to be around their reality, and like specifically in regards to motherhood. So they're like, I am so over mothering for the day. Like, I need a drink of wine. Everybody fend for yourselves. Like, I'm out, right? I don't think that the feeling behind that is wrong. Like, I don't know if everybody feels this way, but like, I certainly get that feeling of wanting to be done with the day at the end of the day. Like, I'm like, okay, some days I'm not, and some days I'm very much looking forward to bedtime, right? So it isn't necessarily the feeling behind that statement that they were saying was wrong, but it was like the way that they went about, I don't know, coping with that feeling, I guess, was to me a little cringy. So I'm like, I feel like I had a lot of thoughts about how when you're doing self-care, first of all, it can be anything. Like, you can talk about self-care in terms of like grocery shopping can be self-care. Like, it could be literally anything. Like something that's caring for yourself, which could be cooking, like you're making a healthy meal for yourself, that's caring for your body, right? Like you could be prepping food so that tomorrow you don't have to do as much work. Like that is self-care. Even though it seems like it's daily work, it is actually self-care. But I mean, it could be categorized as self-care, I guess, if you're like thinking about it in that mindset. But you know, so anyway, I was just noting that our self-care should be not an escape, but it should be like, I need to care for myself so that I can be better, so that I can do better as a mom, right? So not to like escape your motherhood, but like, how can I fuel up to be better, to do better as a mom? So anyway, I just had a rant on that because I don't know, I had a lot of thoughts about it. Okay, that's all. In next week's episode, we're going to talk about books. I'm about to go switch out our books in our house right now to like a little more fall-y, and I don't know, I might even throw in the Halloween books already because I do really we have a lot of good Halloween books. But yeah, so we're going to talk about our books, like our fall and Halloween books, like my favorites. And I'm going to talk about my book rotation system. I mean, it's not really anything super fancy. I've just moved like my system that I used in the classroom as a early childhood teacher. I moved that to our home. So it's nothing fancy though. I mean, I'm talking about it like it's a major system. It's kind of a system, you know, it's a small system. So I'll talk about that in the next episode. So if you want to tune into that, come back next week, Wednesday. All right. Well, I will better let you go then, because now I'm just rambling and talking forever. So, all right, take care. Hey, my son's right here. Grayson, you wanna say bye? Yeah? All right. Dismiss. Bye.